welcome to Hormone Free Wednesday. We're just vibing. Goodness. So great to be here with you. Welcome to Hormone Breakthrough Wednesday. Hello, my name is Robin Nielsen, and it's just my honor and pleasure to be here with you to support you on your incredible journey to feeling so much better, to having your hormones balanced, to better understanding what it takes to get our hormones balanced, and also understanding, how we can do it ourselves, because the answer to feeling so much better is not outside of ourselves. It's right here. It's right here. So hello, Vanessa. I said hello to Ricky and Raina and Kathy and Sharon. And I know that there are some gals joining us on Zoom, or I'm sorry, on Facebook as well. And hello, Carol, and hi, Lizette. Lizette is supporting you on Facebook. So great. And Tammy, hey, Tammy. A couple of our coaches, Tammy and Lizette. So it's just so great to be here with you. And please say hello to each other and, post where you're joining in from. It's always so nice to kind of connect with each other in that way. And sometimes we're, close. And so we can connect up and support each other, because it definitely takes a village to heal. It takes a village. So good. So I have an incredible guest today. I'm going to share about her in just a moment. Everything we do, here is all about balancing our hormones naturally. And you learn kind of what to pay attention to be more balanced. And that's what my guest today is going to share. That's what this is all about. So a couple of things. We have Robin's Hormone Reset coming up beginning May 1st. We'll give you some opportunities to kind of pre-register for that before too long. It's going to come up faster than we know it. It's like 6 weeks away. Unbelievable. And then in April, we're actually going to do a hormone series. It's kind of a Hormone 101 series where you're going to get some really great information and some great insights on some of those powerful hormones that we feel might be keeping us stuck and exactly what's going on with them. So I can't wait to share with you. So I want to introduce my beautiful guest now. Let me just close a few windows. Her name is Michelle Bouvier. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's so beautiful, and she's so beautiful. She's a multidisciplinary movement specialist, a gyrotonic trainer, Prana Vinyasa yoga teacher trainer, certified yoga therapist, student of the Axis Syllabus, and maybe she'll share with us what that is. Hoop dancer pioneer. Like, this woman is crazy amazing. Sustainable movement educator and ecologist devoted to sharing the power of embodiment as a tool of body mind resilience. Michelle has been teaching mindful movement for 20 plus years. She doesn't look old enough, quite honestly, but she's amazing, and is the creator of the Putala'a School of Embodied Resilience, training the next generation of yoga and movement teachers in cutting-edge curriculum while developing the art and skill of sharing movement meditation as medicine. Oh, we love that. Michelle maintains a private practice in gyrotonic and personalized yoga and movement medicine, supporting vitality, self-resourcing to overcome stress, longevity of movement freedom, and body-mind resilience. Pretty amazing, right? And I'm going to invite her in right now. Let's see if I can promote her to panelist. And, you know, that's one thing that I'm really learning, is that we've got to stay in our bodies. When we stay in our bodies, we're so much more hormonally balanced. And Michelle's going to talk to us about that today. Welcome, Michelle. It's so great to have you here.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay? Thanks for that amazing introduction, Robin.
So welcome. And poor Michelle, I gave her one Zoom link, and at the very last minute I said, uh-oh, it's not on that Zoom link, it's on another one. I always forget that we use a different Zoom link for today. So that's what happens when you're not in charge of everything, which is a really good thing, but you have to remember that your team has set up other things for you. And so you have to, just roll with it, right?
I made it. I'm here. We're all here. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Good. So good. So we decided to have Michelle on today because one of the things that we learn as women is to over-exercise and under-eat, or another way of saying that is count calories, right? To body weight. And I don't know about you, but I did it for decades, right? Every January I try a new diet. It was always my fault. I didn't have enough willpower, right? All these things. And I just kept digging a deeper hole for myself, hormone balance wise and health wise. And I think one of the things that happens is we're just so disconnected, right? Like our mind, our kind of our head and our bodies are very disconnected. And you teach embodiment, which is a really big word. Can you share with us what that word means?
Yes. So there are many layers of meaning to me. One is our ability to walk our talk and live our values and be really authentically ourselves. And then another is our relationship to this amazing antenna temple that we inhabit, to be able to understand our needs moment to moment, because they're always changing, especially as women, right? Through the month, through the years. And we are actually wired to read the messages of our physical body to have a sense of what's happening on deeper physiology, like digestion, hormones, our neurotransmitters, even our mood, our psychology is really all one system. I've heard it referred to as the PINE system, the psychology, immune, endocrine, nervous system, all wrapped into one. And I like to add that our physical architecture, our tissue, is really just as wrapped in, because it's the medium, kind of like the internet is connecting so many things, but it's also our architecture all at once. And so when we have a relationship to just tuning in to our felt sense, we can have a more accurate conversation and listening to what we need on those deeper levels too.
So good. So good. So the women listening in here today, they're looking for hormone balance, right? They're looking to feel so much better. And there are many layers to that. And this is a big piece, because it really helps us to become more stress resilient, but also to be maybe in the parasympathetic system a little bit more. So in our rest and digest nervous system, because we're taken out all day long, right? We're taken out all day long with our to-do list. And it's kind of interesting because it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg. You know, did the to-do list drive the hormone imbalance, or did the hormone imbalance create this never-ending go, go, go thing, right? Elevated cortisol, keep us on the run, and we don't even know it. But it's kind of our lifestyle that does that. And what I've noticed for myself, when you get into this embodied movement, like Michelle is talking about, like the whole world just kind of goes away, and you just start to tune in to what's going on. So share with us more about the work that you do and how it can help the women in my community really like take their health to the next level. That's a huge question.
Yeah, and it's so ingrained in our culture, this go, go, go. And like you started off, the fitness and not eating and getting skinny and work, like on our physical body. In my 20s, I was so intense on that end of the spectrum that I actually lost my period for 2.5 years. So it's been quite a journey to understand that the signals of rest are so important to listen to, and to not override them with judgment of not doing enough.
Yeah.
And know how to rest deeply. And one of the greatest ways is to do this tuning into the felt sense, which sounds so simple, but just scanning, you can do this as you're listening now, to how you feel under the skin. Gives your nervous system a sense of, I'm here and I'm safe. And so there are very, very simple, accessible tools that will help us get more out of that rest, get more juiced up and rejuvenate as a maybe, hopefully, daily practice. But there's also the flip side of that coin, is knowing how to, when we need to, and it's appropriate, like burn up the cortisol. Sometimes we need to like, have an outlet for all this buildup of charge. So I work with clients and try to teach women how to read those two signals and accurately. When is it appropriate to, say, have a dance break for 5 minutes and just move the energy, get it going, or do something cross-lateral, which is like walking, where we have the opposite sides of the body, helping our brain to connect the right and the left hemisphere to digest and process emotions. Or when is it right to put your legs up the wall and give yourself a non-sleep deep rest or yoga nidra practice, a deep guided relaxation that I consider an embodied practice, because it is tuning our mindfulness, our awareness into the messages of the body. So reading what's appropriate, because it's always a cycle. We're meant to go up and down, right? I'm sure you teach this in the nervous system activation and deactivation, but our culture tends to get us a little stuck. So how do we manage that to flow? And it's all about flowing with the changes that are natural.
So I love that you shared 3 different situations and how, sounds like these are some of the tools that you use to help you come back into balance, kind of based on where your nervous system is at the time and what you need. And I love that you talked about kind of burning off some cortisol, because there are definitely times when we need that kind of more vibrant type of energy, that more energetic type of movement. And then there are times when we need to rest and restore. And then there are times, I love how you explained the walking. It was really interesting when I call my husband my hot, sexy lover, because it's way, way more fun, right? When that pops up on your phone, when your hot, sexy lover calls you or texts you or whatever it is. So he was going through chemotherapy and radiation, which of course I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that I would have said yes to that. Turns out that for the type of cancer he had, that standard of care was really the best, and a really high percentage cure rate. So as that was happening, I was living at we were living at my mother-in-law's because she lives near Stanford. And Eric was going to his treatments every day. And we learned by living with my mother-in-law that she was losing her memory. So every 15 minutes or so, she was asking me the same question as I'm trying to work and take care of everything. So I found myself getting up before anyone else in the morning, like 6:30, like I just needed to get up and go walking. Every day I walked for 6 to 7 miles to get through those 5 or 6 weeks. And that makes perfect sense about what you were talking about. I just needed to like process and chill and connect and be. Yeah.
Walking is really underrated. It's actually how our bone shape and structure and tissue structure and what we see as the human form came into being. The form came from the function. And so we're designed to walk. And I've heard before, I don't have like the paper to refer to this, but that we're made to walk about 6 miles a day. So I love that that was kind of what you naturally fell into.
It wasn't something that I said to myself, I've got to go do this. It was like my body saying, go, like just go. Because it was just the most interesting thing. I was just, I was tuned in enough to know that I needed that to get through the day, right? So it just saved me. I swear it saved me. I could then come back and help everybody else, and get everybody's day started and then do my work. So it's amazing. And I think it's a lot of the work you do. So can you go back and just mention those 3 different types and when we might use each? Like the dance break and the legs up I love the dance break. So good. And then the legs up the wall. And then the next one was, I think the walking.
Yeah. And I'm going to add a little detail to the walking too, but let's imagine that we're like a bucket and life, stress, responsibilities just keep filling up the bucket, and we need places to empty that. So if your bucket feels like it's about to overflow over the top and you're like this pent up feeling, that would be a sign to move it, put it out. That could be running, swimming. I know that you surf, something active where you're engaging with a changing environment is also helpful. Or I like hula hooping or dancing, or just, like something rhythmic where you can lose yourself, and a few minutes goes a long way. And then we'll go to the other end when you feel like you have been giving, and it is just depleted and empty. And you feel like you need to fill it back up. That's when legs up the wall, which is so easy, or legs up a couch, can be 20 minutes is kind of like an hour nap. So you can get a lot more for a little bit of time, or a deep relaxation so that your nervous system can really down regulate to rest and digest to the parasympathetic. And then we have both the rhythmic walking, where it's not overexerting, but it's in a rhythm that often has a contralateral or crossing or opposite arm and leg kind of motion. And, this sort of can overlap with the little dance party too. The contralateral is what helps our brain process, but rhythm also helps us get out of the overthinking mind. So we can think of trance states or, indigenous dances that are actually pretty simple, but that rhythmic, repetitive movement really helps us fall into a state that's not the monkey mind, always full of things. And, yoga has been a huge part of my life for 30 years. And to me, that's the state of yoga, is the state where you're not driven by that roller coaster of thoughts. And it doesn't have to look like a yoga class, but it's really any place that gets us into that state, which I was going to just point out your mornings, that way that we orient to the day. A lot of times spiritual practices are in the morning, and morning rituals have become really mainstream. But the way that we can touch into that place that isn't just the craziness of our thoughts and the stress of the world, that's such a powerful practice, no matter how you get there. And I really believe that embodiment is kind of the fast track to get to that. So it could be walking, that could happen in all three of those categories too.
And you could do all three of those in the same day, right? Which would be like so smart, because if you had a day like I had yesterday, it's all of those, right? In between, client meetings and, coaching and all of that, the dance party. And then, the very end of the day, of course, feet up the wall, and the beginning of the day, maybe a nice walk just to get settled in, all of that. And why this is important is because we learn in Robin's Hormone Reset, which is like our foundational program here, that movement a lot of times takes us out. The movement choices we make is what I call an underlying stressor or a hormone deal breaker. It's a root cause of why we don't feel well, because we choose movement that raises cortisol and keeps it there. And when cortisol is our fight or flight hormone, and whenever we do things that raise cortisol, it messes with our circadian rhythm, that beautiful cortisol rhythm throughout the day, which then messes with our melatonin rhythm at night. I always say, if you have a busy day, you're going to have a busy night, right? So you want to do some of these things that Michelle is talking about to really get back into your normal cortisol rhythm. And we need to stop over exercising and exercise for where we are right now. So I'd love to hear from you, like an aha that's come up for you. If you could share it in the chat or in the comments on Facebook, I'd love to hear that. If you have any questions for Michelle, it'd be wonderful for you to post them as well. And so what I'd love to hear from you, Michelle, is really about how movement, if we do it in the wrong way, right, can take us out hormonally.
Yes, well, I guess I have 2 points. I mean, one you were sort of speaking to there, that part of our culture and part of just the mainstream understanding of fitness and exercise tends to be all challenge and cardiovascular and, harder, faster, more. And there can be a time where that's appropriate, but as women, we know that everything is cyclic and everything is changing. So even in our, prime and our youth and our most energetic, throughout the month, that's not the most appropriate. There may be like 2 weeks, and we always have this rising and falling of our energy. So that's one piece. And getting stuck in the overcharge or activation of the nervous system, or flooded with cortisol, that's going to knock the hormonal cycles and cascades out of whack. It's kind of pushed or supported by what we see in the culture. And so, for me, it's really questioning about how we got to that mainstream understanding. And interestingly enough, the history of fitness is so young. We didn't have the idea of fitness when we had more movement ingrained in our daily life. So the first kind of fitness was endurance sports just in the 50s. And then group exercise really took off in the 70s, and weightlifting only like in the 80s, thanks to Arnold Schwarzenegger, actually. And those things are all helpful, but they're a response to increasing conveniences of modern life, decreasing our movement variety and quality and quantity, kind of like a diet. Like we need to eat a variety of things. We actually need to move in a variety of ways. But our lifestyle these days is far more sedentary and far less movement variety. So just the kind of assumption of what wellness and fitness is undergoing an evolution itself. So I really like to encourage finding different ways to sit, like moving so much my table is shaking, to get up and down off a chair or on the floor, or even to like brush your teeth with the other hand. Sometimes I want to make a shirt that says, when in doubt, squat, to just move in a variety of ways in your daily life, and you're going to feel a lot better. So you might not feel lacking in needing these more push harder levels of fitness. I know that's like a little extra, but hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, and it's hard because we, if you're like I used to be, you don't have the schedule into your day, you're going to put it off for sure. Well, I'll do that in a little bit, and then you forget. And so, day after day after day, you don't fit it in for whatever reason. We have a million of them. And so you really have to schedule it into your calendar. You work for 40 minutes, take a 5-minute break, work for another 40 minutes, take a 5-minute break. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't happen. So you have to get in your calendar, timer, do whatever you need to do. So can you share with us some of the health benefits that women who have worked with you have seen? Like they came to you because of X, and you worked with them with certain different kinds of movement, embodiment practices, and then what happened?
Well, there's a lot of different examples of decreasing stress and understanding tools to use both in the moment when you start to feel a charge, to diffuse that, as well as support with a daily practice, just more resilience to stress. That's one. And I've recently had 2 clients who have been battling with kind of chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia level challenges for many years. And I've actually even been surprised with some of the more gentle but playful movements, because the playfulness and curiosity and sparking a little bit of joy also helps the inner hormonal cascade a lot, a lot, and after, let's see, I think about 4 or 5 hours of working with them, they were reporting having more stamina for just taking their dog on a walk and less pain than they've experienced in years. And so I'm continually blown away with sometimes how simple it can be, and how the inner state, especially when we give ourselves the liberation that it doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, I don't have to go crazy at the gym. I can find something that's fun and playful, and also, a good movement pattern for modern life. So I guess reporting more energy, more stamina, and then that gives way to more happiness.
Yeah. And, you were talking about less pain, and We experience more pain when our brain chemistry or brain chemical serotonin drops. And when you do certain types of movement that are more restorative, like walking, you actually build serotonin. And so it's very natural with all of the different types of embodiment practices that Michelle talks about. It's very likely that you're building more serotonin. And so you will definitely experience less pain, right? And anytime you're doing any of the practices that Michelle is talking about, you're going to be more in the rest and digest nervous system, as opposed to taking yourself out by doing exercises that are, that raise cortisol, raise insulin, because that's what we're taught. And I'm curious if a lot of the, exercise practices that came about, starting in the 70s were more related to, or more for men, I'm just curious about that, because a lot of, men can lose weight so much easier. Their hormonal response is a lot different than ours because of the, their hormones are dominated by testosterone. Women's hormones are dominated by estrogen. And so it just, it's just a much different hormonal profile. And, a woman asked here, what if you start with fatigue? So you're tired already, and then exercising causes more fatigue. So what would you advise a woman there? Thank you, Katrina.
Yeah, thank you, Katrina. I'm seeing your question too. I think of everything in life as a big soundboard, the soundboard at a concert with all these little dials, and there's so many things that you can adjust. And so my question would be, what kind of exercise is that? How much exertion is happening for you? There's always something we can do. And one of the things that comes to mind that's a favorite of mine is, those big exercise balls?
Yeah, this is so good.
You can just bounce on the ball where there's a little bit of a recycling of energy that will also get your tissues moving and, jiggling free of their stickiness and getting circulation going without a lot of exertion. And on the ball, you can kind of shift around into one leg in front, like a lunge, and do other types of gentle movement that will help the fluid circulation, and also just a feeling of space and spaciousness in your body. And that tends to be some sort of quality that I start with someone who doesn't know where to start. And then it's slowly, you just have to be gentle and gradual, will increase their sense of having more energy. So I think it's broadening the toolkit to start with. There's always something we can work with.
Yeah, and one of the things, if you're really tired, is that you do nothing, right? So if you're really tired and you say to yourself, I'm too tired to do movement, it'll keep you stuck. Because I love the expression of one of my colleagues, a power plant doesn't have energy. It makes energy. And we can do the same as long as we're making energy in a way that is sustainable for where our body is right now. So Michelle, I know, can teach you or give you tools and practices that will help you where you are right now. And then as you begin to heal and get more energy, right, then you can take on, new types of movement. And one of the things that we use is we use a checklist, check your sleep, check your cravings, check your hunger after exercise, right? Check your energy. So if things, if your hunger goes way up, if your cravings go way up, if you get really tired after your movement, it's the wrong type of movement for where you are right now, right? If you can't fall asleep at night, if you can't stay asleep, then you're overdoing it. And that's where, something like walking comes in. And we know that walking, just walking for 15 minutes after every meal increases insulin sensitivity by 50%. 50%. That's 50%. And that's one of the reasons why we're so tired, is because we can't get the sugar from our bloodstream into our cells to burn for fuel because we're insulin resistant, and probably not our fault, right? I mean, some of the things that we're doing could definitely improve insulin sensitivity, but the toxins now are kind of taking us out when it comes to our insulin receptor sites. So that's getting a little technical, but there's a lot going on here, and Michelle has great practices no matter where you are. Yeah, you're so welcome, Katrina. So great. Yeah. It's just the walking for 15 minutes after each meal will be a game changer. And Val says it's so hard to get motivated to exercise. I think that's the beautiful part about what Michelle is sharing. Like, none of what she shared is hard. It's so fun. I mean, just imagine, like, laying down with your legs up on the wall, doing like a little mini inversion to kind of give you a reset. Like, that's magical. And all the things you were talking about are so joyful. They're so joyful.
I have 3 really easy things if you want.
Yeah.
So when you wake up in the morning and you're still in bed, yawn like a creature. Oh, there's a fancy name for this. When when you see a cat or dog stretch, they're kind of active. They're stretching. It's called pandiculation.
Hey.
And it resets our motor cortex to start to engage with the world. And it's kind of like a shift of the chapter. It helps our nervous system find a bit of balance. And in the morning, it's a little bit more of a balance from sleep state to waking state. But give yourself like 5 minutes to just roll around and tune into, the truth that we're animals too. I do that every day. You can also do it where you are right now, just a big yawn, however it wants to look.
So good.
Another is, besides walking, joint circles are so underrated. Just really easy fluid circles in your shoulders and your wrists, maybe not that fast, in your head, in your hips. Think of it like WD-40 for your body. And then the last thing, especially if it feels hard to get motivated, is pick a song that you love, that you just hear and you're like, yes. It could be 2 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, and put on that one song. And if you feel, the lowest energy, you just kind of walk in place or bounce. And I promise you that after, 10 seconds or 30 seconds or a minute, you're going to start to feel a little bit of, one of my teachers calls it vitamin J for joy, and that power plant of energy rising, and just get a little bit of that movement and rising spirit inside yourself. Those are my favorite go-tos when there's no motivation.
I was looking on Spotify to see if you could, like, I'm new to Spotify. I really resist one more subscription, but my kids are like, Mom, you don't have Spotify? And I really enjoyed it, I have to say. But I bet you could type in like 2-minute dance music, or 3-minute dance music, because I do that with yoga. On YouTube, I'll go like 15-minute yoga practice, 20-minute yoga practice. Anyway, it's an idea. So you're just absolutely amazing. If you were around this woman, you would just feel her incredible spirit and just her love of life. And you have to tell us just for a moment about your hula hooping. I mean, she's like a master hula hooper, and it's crazy. Tell us more.
Yeah, so the hula hoop has had a resurgence in what we often term hoop dance, although the Indigenous Native Americans, hoop dance is sort of the original hoop dance. So we'll call it hooping as well. And it has exploded into a incredibly playful and creative fitness, wellness, performance art. And I was kind of like the second cohort of hoop dancers in the United States. I have been hooping for about, 19 years. And it has been the most life-changing, powerful, like, to me, it's a yoga practice. Although it's a toy. So you cannot not have fun and be playful. And the rhythmic feedback of having an object helps you to enter into rhythmic entrainment and the flow state and out of your head so fast. And because it's a circle, it's truly infinite. I still find tiny details of things that I've never done before, which is just so fascinating to me. So I'm a huge proponent of the hoop. And if you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do it, or I tried it recently and I can't do it, bigger is easier. Kind of like surfing, a longboard is easier, right?
Because I really want to learn how to do it only because of you. So if you were like a newbie like me, like where would you go to find the right hula hoop? I mean, is it Toys R Us or is it someplace better?
No. Do not get a kid's hula hoop. That is going to not work very well unless you're using it on your arms, which is also fun. But there are quite a number of sort of small businesses, you know, sort of like myself. I used to make them, but there's far more who are making hula hoops now. So I would just kind of check your local networks. And if you can't find someone, I'm happy to help find someone. And there's tons, you know, of videos on YouTube to break it down.
So you just want to find like a small company that makes hula hoops. Yeah, not Amazon, a small company.
Yeah.
So Michelle is so gracious. She has put together a beautiful free gift for us today. Lizette, will you post the free gift? And I think that I need the link for the free gift too. So hold on a second, I'll pull that up, but I'll pull it up while you're sharing all about it.
Yes, it's a 3-part mini training called the 3 Keys to Vitality and Freedom for your body and mind. And it takes you a little bit through the science of how the body mind is one from a modern perspective of our tissue, our fascia, and our nervous system so intertwined. And an introduction to how qualities of embodied practice, for me, that's movement, breath, and mindfulness around our felt sense, can be used strategically to shift your mental state and to keep your body free and in optimal vitality, which is, you know, always changing, but there's always something optimal that we can do.
Awesome. So I'm just putting it right here in the chat so that they have it. And it's such a beautiful, oh my gosh, such a beautiful gift. And you also have a program coming up in the not too distant future. So if the ladies sign up for your free gift, they'll get more information about your incredible program that's coming up in just a short period of time. Is that right?
Yes, the Evolution of Embodied Practice virtual yoga retreat, which is also free.
Yeah, sounds amazing. Amazing. All right. So ladies, oh yeah, Katrina says I didn't know that people make hula hoops. I know that is really incredible. The handmade ones are amazing. Oh my gosh, that's what I'm looking for. So good. All right. So so ladies, any other questions for Michelle while we're wrapping up here today? And Michelle, what is one thing that you'd like to leave the ladies with today around movement?
Well, I hope those other little seeds got planted, but one more is the idea of what's called interoception. I think I mentioned it briefly, but it's so powerful. Interoception is our inner felt sense. I can write it in this chat if you'd like.
Did I spell it right? Or is it with an I?
I.
Oh, there it is. Okay, great.
Yeah. So proprioception is where we are in space. Interoception is like what's happening under the skin. And when we live in a culture that prioritizes intelligence and mind and brain, we can disconnect from that inner felt sense. It's what gives us our feelings of hunger and thirst and etc. But also when we just spend time, right as you're listening, feel inside of your hand. Just put your brain Put your awareness inside of your hand. And the nervous system loves this. It's one of the fastest ways in the moment to ground, to center, to downregulate. And it can also help us create neural circuits of greater connection to others, empathy and compassion, because of the part of the brain that we read these signals in the insula. And so to me, the explosion of yoga and mindful movement, the real gem, the real power of it is this power of interoception. It's not the forms. So no matter what you do, and even while you're just cooking or watching TV or something else or working, if you can keep a sense or a part of your awareness inside of like what's happening inside of myself on a purely physical felt sense level, it's going to help support you, underneath it all.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. And ladies, let's give Michelle lots and lots of love. So nice. And we're sending lots of love to you too, for showing up for yourself, for being here. When we say yes to ourselves, we are changing the way our genes express themselves for the better. It's really magical. So congratulations on saying yes to yourself and for being here. All right, Michelle, thank you again so much, sister. We just loved having you. And we hope to see some of the ladies downloading your free gift and maybe hopping into your upcoming program.
Thank you, Robin. Your work is so, so important. And I hope that this free gift will help support you ladies too on the path.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, everyone.